Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is a roster update video, and usually these are our topics. We're looking at marquees and unlocks, major project progress, crons, omicrons, datacrons, and then addressing any other weaknesses as we prepare for this upcoming season of Grand Arena. But in this case, we just finished a major project progress in Ahsoka Tano. So we're in this interim period before CG starts releasing the new things, or we can look back towards some of the old things, which gives us an opportunity to address things that we usually ignore. This happens about this time every year. We get this 2-month window where we can start addressing some luxury items.
Costume change. So this was originally recorded about 2.5 weeks ago, prior to the announcement of the dark side clones and the changes to Lord Vader. And that context is needed because some of the things discussed within here no longer make sense with that new information. So I'll be splicing myself in here to just give added context as certain things might be dated or not. So just be mindful of that.
So we've completely overhauled the spreadsheet, taken the Ahsoka requirements out, reallocated some of the other projects and characters that we were tracking. This first column remains Journey, Conquest characters, but also recent marquees. Those are always high priority characters. Even prior to knowing that these Bad Batch marquees are going to be part of the next raid, I was still always going to go after them. I think everybody should be treating marquees as if they are important because CG treats them as important. We didn't need a news update from CG to understand that. You should never believe them if they're downplaying something. They are always prioritizing new releases. This final column remains GL Ray. We're going to be working on her. It's the only big project we have to work towards right now. I will prioritize this, what presumably is going to be a legendary Mace Windu. I will be prioritizing him. But in the meantime, until we see some more information about it, we have a window. We will be working towards Ray during that window, and whether she gets unlocked prior or after is really just going to depend on some of the release timeline and cadence. We saw how long Ahsoka took. If Mace takes a similar timeline, maybe it's going to be the same kind of deal here, or if it turns out to be May. Now, these other two columns, I've split up some of the longer term luxury projects that I've been wanting to build out into these two columns based on priority and impact on roster. And I'll show you right now what I'm talking about. Our first column includes all of these characters. It's the Bad Batch mercenaries. We got Ahsoka, we got Balin, and we're looking ahead towards Jocasta New.
Jumping in again, so this next portion here, not all of it applies anymore because of these changes to the dark side clones and Lord Vader. Grief Karga is no longer part of the counter, and Royal Guard is no longer part of the squad, so these investments no longer make sense. But I still wanted to keep this section of the video in because my thought process is what's important, not so much of the specifics, why I was originally looking towards those characters. And also I think it's worth saying that sometimes when you put something off, there's reasons to not keep things a high priority because some of these character investments make more sense early on than later because this game is constantly in flux. And the longer you take to do something, the more at risk you are at those investments to be invalidated.
For our second column, though, this is what we're looking at. We got Night Trooper, Judge Death, Captain Enoch, the characters we need for that assault battle. I am making this a priority. Even though it's expensive, even though it's 3 characters, they are going to help ease some of the gearing requirements long term. It may not be the best return, but that kind of return is still going to be valuable to me. And the earlier you do it, the better return you get from it. And the rest, these are high quality characters that I either want higher or would really help me out if I had relics, like Grief Karga, B2, those kind of characters. I'm forced into weaker counters by not having them, and it's kind of about time. Really, Geo Brood Alpha should be added to this as well, because my Brood Alpha is at Gear 12. In the middle column, it's these characters that I would like to have at Relicate. This is a little bit more in that luxury range. Some, like Malgus and Third Sister, would be helpful, but they just have dedicated counters that the additional relics aren't really going to make that much of a difference, so they're lower priority to me. But this column's also in flux. We're going to see some changes to it as I kind of narrow down some of the other characters that I want to work on. But the larger point is this just gives you you an idea of where my hoarding is, even for this stuff, where we need a little bit more of the Electrum conductors, the Zin biddies, we need a lot more of the carbonate circuit boards and the bronze wirings, always need the signal data, but otherwise we're in a really good place. And even with the Electriums and the Zin biddies, we're pretty close. We're like a couple raids away from being done with those, and we can really start planning ahead for even more projects, or starting to absorb some of the upcoming marquees with all those like dark side clone troopers. Then we need a decent amount of Kairos, but nothing unmanageable. And then we're looking really good with basically everything else other than some of the standard things that you just have a never-ending need of with the med packs, the Nubian scanners, the Mark 12 fusion furnace. Need a little bit more in the HoloLens and the multi-tool, but other than that, we are pretty much in a almost done phase or in a active hoarding situation where we're building up our surpluses. But as we look at what we're going to work on today, we have no obvious things to work on. So we're going to start working ahead and working on some of those luxury items. I kind of want to take some things off the board, pull them out of the spreadsheet so we can be a little bit more prepared for any of the upcoming releases. Plus, in these moments where we're not planning for anything, it's just a little bit easier to spend in places where I wouldn't normally spend. You can see with all those Bad Batch characters, until we have them farmed up to 7 stars, we've got nothing else we can place on them. And then what I think we are going to do is, like, usually this is where we're looking at our major project progress. Here is where I stand with GL Ray. I think I'm just going to start dropping in not all of the Mark 12 pieces, but we're going to do the left side. All the left side we're just going to drop down. It's going to eat up some of the Nubian scanners and some other, like the med packs, but really nothing that's going to be problematic for the roster. Plus we're budgeting for that stuff actively, and it'll just make it a little bit easier to understand how much I really need, and it's also just means we're going to be budgeting for less. Alright, so that takes care of that first row. This bottom row, I've been leaving these guys at gear 11 because I just wanted to showcase how effective this team is at this gear 11 level. We can move beyond that now. They were more than usable at gear 11. It's a fantastic squad. I don't leave them on defense anymore. I don't even actually use them all that much on offense. It's because there's a lot of teams. All right, yeah, we need to put this on, and working on the left side, wrist and the Carbantes. We got the multi-tool. The multi-tool I need more of. That's something we do need quite a bit of. The wrists, though, we have so many wrists. This is also going to boost our fleet. That is one of the side benefits here, where I'm usually doing, if I do use the Radis fleet, I'm very careful with it. Sometimes I'm using it in like a 2-shot or a cleanup situation because I can't really rely on it up against some of the better fleets. So with my pilots where they were, it was a pretty risky proposition in most cases. But this is all going to help. We'll take them up to relics soon, but this is a place where like the Kairos are not in a position where I want us to be taking them up to relics quite yet. We might do it in stages, like a couple here and there, but even this amount is going to help. You know what? This isn't budgeted for, but I think we're going to do Zori as well. So that takes care of them. Then we'll add Zori to this. May as well boost up that character. I don't think we're going to drop any of the left side pieces unless they're easy ones. If they're going to pull away from Nubian scanners, we're not dropping it. Multi-tool, not dropping it. This one with the Mark 7, this we can do. We have a surplus of armor plating. And this is part of the reason that I like having the spreadsheet. That information, I know. I know what I can afford to spend or not. That's outside of my plan. This I technically could do, but the bayonet, we barely have any surplus on. I think I'm going to be careful with that one. But the rest of this, we can hold. That's a pretty good starting position. We already teased this earlier, but what I want to do now is Captain Enoch and the assault battle. We are going to do this. It's not one of the no-brainer kind of things to work on, but I do think this is going to be a benefit. I don't like that we're taking them up to Relic 9. It's like, these are really not the characters to do it, but it is going to, over the long term, reduce my crystal spend. Maybe only by a tiny bit, but over time that does add up. That's why it's one of those things where the earlier you do it, the more return and value you're going to see out of it. And the later you do it, probably the more worthy it is to skip it, because if CG starts reducing the cost of droid brains or the Gerda keypads in other ways, then you can be looking at, then this probably isn't the same value, unless they also just become easier to gear up. Where's that other one? Oh, here he is. But it's just in terms of like Grand Arena, there's no reason to do this. I guess maybe it helps I don't even think it helps in territory battles. Yeah, that's doesn't feel great, but I did plan for it. We are budgeted for it. Now, one thing I do need to do, I think maybe we'll take a look at this in a different viewpoint, is this hasn't been updated in a while, but these are like long-term projects, characters I want to upgrade and increase the quality of. You can see characters like Grief Karga, Mando, long-term projects here. We might even do one of these today, because that is budget. Like, Grief is budgeted. I just don't really use him that much anymore. Versus someone like B2 might be a little bit more interesting. BB-8 is probably worth making more of a priority. What I do want to do is a couple things for, like, it is time for GLs to start making some of these a little tougher, particularly the tanks, because we'll see a benefit. What I think we will do, though, is Ahsoka is going to be brought up to Relic 8. Oh, I can't do it anymore. We're out of signal data. All right, fine. I thought we were going to have plenty of that. I guess we don't. What I do want to do in terms of relics and datacrons is I should be able to take, I want to take him up to Relic 5 so I can actually use his level 9 ability on his Cron. We have the Cron. I've been using it, but without the Relic 5. That'll boost that a little bit. Now we're going to look at some of the Gear 12 possibilities. In B2, it's just, I don't really use these characters too often, but part of the reason we're not using them is because I don't have them at relics. You know what I would rather do? Do I have the signal data left for, why are you moving around like this? Is Royal Guard to Relic 5 would be nice. And that we can't afford, so we'll do that. I would prefer to take him higher, like Relic 5 is really not enough, but we're using him right now actively on defense, and Relic 3 is definitely not enough. It's really debatable whether he should even be on the team at Relic 3, so boosting him to Relic 5 is going to help. Some of these other characters will have to wait. Now, B2, I think we will take up to relics. That's in the budget. Really, though, you know what? I think we're not going to do this, because the problem is we really have to take him up to Relic 3 for it to matter. You know what? We're going to do it anyway. Because it's effectively, it's Relic 3 or nothing. Because you can't use Datacrons. And if you can't use Datacrons, why even take them up to relics? Okay, that's probably good for today. There's a few others I would like to do, but without the signal data, I think this is all we're going to be able to handle. And we'll let you know where we are with the Datacrons. We're in a pretty good spot. We have a bunch of level 9s and actually have a lot of resources hoarded up just waiting for the credits. So over the next several days to weeks, we're going to still be beefing up actually both of these sets. The older set, Wayward Wayfinder, that one less so, but Enduring Power, we could probably get a few more level 9s. We actually have all the ones that I wanted and targeted, but now that they removed the cap, or not the cap, they raised the cap for the credits that we're going to be getting back, there's some reason to do this where it's just going to pay forward towards the next set a little bit. That's the first of us doing some of these luxury gears, working ahead a little bit while we wait to see the larger plan of CGs start falling into place and shaping itself out. But thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.